Hi, how you doing, Corey?
I'm doing well.
Thank you for coming.
No worries.
If you could just give the audience a little background about yourself and what you've done with startups.
I've worked in 3 startups over the past 3 years. I am a information management and technology major. My most recent startup, it's called Seed Analytics. They are a data analytics company. They take databases and essentially secure them. It's a read-only database with a front end that uses Tableau software. I came in last summer and have been working there ever since. And it's about 6, 7 people in the company total.
Sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
So I have some follow-up questions that I'd like to ask you based on your experience with startup.
Sure.
What projects are you currently working on at your startup?
So right now we're working with a company that has a front end application, and I'm normalizing the database, which essentially means that I'm taking about 70 different tables and storing it down into like 30. Um, in past projects, I've taken real estate data and turned it into a full-on dashboard so that the accounting department could better visualize their data and better sort it out.
Very interesting. Where do you believe that an entry-level employee intern will benefit from a startup compared to a bigger traditional company such as Dell or any of those big tech?
So one of the reasons why I've taken the approach that I've taken is because through startups you get more experience, and in a larger company, I feel like your management kind of ease you into it. But startups, they don't have that luxury because they need cheap, free work, and they need it as soon as possible. So what you'll tend to see in a startup environment is that right off the bat, you're thrown into it. And that's kind of what happened with me with Seed. Was right away they gave me a project and I was fully in charge of it off the bat, which was awesome, a lot of fun.
How important is pertinent law to working at a startup? You'd say
Is what?
pertinent law.
Which is
Pertinent law is basically like the overlying laws of business, like and how it's run throughout the country. How does it compare to working at a startup?
So it's interesting because of the fact that when you work in a startup, you don't have set hours as much, and you're kind of your own boss, and it's not a hierarchy where you have a manager and then your manager has a manager and that manager has a manager who reports to the CEO, but rather it's multiple managers and there's multiple different people who you're working with and you're all one big team. So the culture is kind of different. I hope that answered your question.
No, definitely. I definitely see. So what would you say would be the biggest difference in a small startup compared to a big company?
Definitely the amount of experience that you get right off the bat and the amount of exposure. Also, you have to think on your feet because there's not as many people around you to say like, hey, how do I do this? So you learn how to adapt quickly in a dynamic environment.
Definitely. So the top 4 qualities you would see as an investor as part of your startup. What do you see? What are you looking for in investors who want to invest in what you're working on? What would you like to see from them?
So the number one thing that investors look at is this product unique? Then after you say, is it unique, you think, is there a market for it? If there's a market, then you can start thinking about the more specifics. You look into a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, so on and so forth.
Definitely. And working with the current startup movement, do you feel comfortable with Donald Trump as the president currently?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know too much about it, but I think that Donald Trump's administration will be good for startup environments. I think tax reforms will be good for exposing businesses. Yeah.
Definitely. And does working at a startup take more out of your personal life than a traditional company setting?
Kind of. So the reason why I say that is because when you work in a startup, you don't have set hours. So, for instance, I'll go back to my room right now at whatever time, and I'll still be working. It could be past 5 o'clock. I'll get a text from my boss. Hey, look at this your day that was just sent to me, and then I'm working and I'm on the clock at 8 o'clock at night. And there have been times when all of a sudden I just get a phone call and I'm out. It's like, hey, what do you think of this? And if you're always on the clock, you're never not on the clock, which is a very weird, interesting dynamic, because when you work at a big company, you're working, you check in at 8 o'clock, from 8 to 5, you're working, at 5 o'clock, you're done. And you tend not to really think of your work until you get back into the office at 8 o'clock, then you check your email, it's a cycle. Startup, it's much, much different. It's kind of cool.
So you're saying that you pretty much enjoy having it as a part of your personal time because it's a
as
good
long
dynamic.
as, so what I realize is that a lot of people who work in a startup work with something that they enjoy doing.
Yes.
And if you find something that you enjoy doing and you're passionate about, and a project that you're passionate about, then work becomes part of your personal life. And you're also heavier invested in the actual startup company because of the fact that you want it to succeed. There's no room for failure. If you take time off and say, oh, it's 5 o'clock, I'm done working, the startup could fail. And I mean, obviously not one person, but if all, let's say 7 employees in Seed said, oh, it's 5 o'clock, we're done. No, kind of takes over your life a little bit. And one of the biggest things with startups is you have to save, save, save. You can't go out and say, oh, I'm going to live on Upper East Side of New York. No, you kind of have to say, oh, I still need to live in New Jersey, or I need to live in Long Island, or wherever it is. But you have to be a lot more conscious with money, and there's definitely a lot of side effects on startup life.
So, pertaining to that, I was going to ask you, does working at a startup put you in a financial situation that it's kind of tough once you get out of college and you're looking for a job and you find a startup that you enjoy and you want to be a part of because you actually care? Does it put you in a financial situation that could be tough?
So I'm actually in a very interesting situation because the past 3 summers I worked in startup companies, and each of them gave me different exposure. But then now I'm making a transition and I'm actually working for Microsoft. And the reason for that is because of the leadership and the development that a bigger company can give you in terms of actually teaching you skills for the real world. So I think one of the biggest differences is that you're looking at, right after college, how someone helps you adjust, and there's benefits, there's health benefits, there's a relocation package. Where a startup, you can't really do that. So a lot of the finances change.
I definitely follow. So as we're winding down this interview, what would you say was the proudest project you've been a part of up to date currently?
So I was with Seed, and I actually say this at all my job interviews. I sat down, and the first day I met with my boss, he handed me 3 CSV tables. It's like a different form of an Excel table. And he goes to me, he goes, how would you normalize this database? And I take a piece of paper and I draw it all out, and I hand it to my boss. And my boss looks at me and goes, okay, that's the academic way. This is how you do it in profession. And he's drawing it out, and I look at him and I'm like, wait, you're wrong. Literally the first day I tell him, I go, you're wrong. And he looks at me and he's like, what? And we talked about it for 5-10 minutes, and he goes, you know what? You're right. And since then, he gave me full reign over the entire project, and I was able to go out and meet with the accounting department and say, what do you think of this dashboard? And they would say, we hate it. And I'd say, okay, well, what do you want from it? And then I would change it, and there's just the fact that I was able to work from head to toe, from getting raw data and then putting it into a final production dashboard that they're still using today, is a remarkable feeling.
Smart, of course. And the final question I just wanted to ask you, so overall you say that working at a startup has given you kind of the tools you need to work at a bigger company as you are at Microsoft now?
Yeah. Oh, what?
It was more of a yes or no question.
Yes. Yeah. So the development of working in a small team in a startup definitely has its perks because you're learning how to work in a team, and you're also learning how to be independent at the exact same time, which is 2 skills that you really desperately need. And going from a small startup culture to a big company, it's going to be interesting to see how the dynamic changes, and we'll see if I don't like it. I might just go back to the startup life.
Definitely. So I'm hoping for the best for you, and thank you.
I appreciate it.